Harmony Cummings. And hi, Harmony. How are you
Hi,
today?
good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I just wanted to acknowledge before we get started that Linda Farb sent a little note, and thank you, Linda, so very much for being a part. Linda is another one. She said, I'm so proud of your work and that you've shared the caring for life and your lucky friends. Aw. You make us remember that good is alive in the world. We have to have that reminder constantly because
Mhm.
there's so much more good in this world than not. The not part gets a lot more attention. So, speaking to good in the world, we have my friend Harmony is with us today. And Harmony and I actually spent time in with Attila in
Mhm.
Amsterdam in when was that? December, November,
Yep,
December.
November,
Yeah,
December.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So Harmony, thank you for joining us today. It's been such a pleasure to be able to work by your side for this period of time, and I'm looking forward to how things are unfolding for both of us. So, talk to us about the Greenhouse Connection and what you're doing and the political work the activism that you do as well.
Yes, I definitely have a lot of fire. I am so grateful to be in this space with everyone and to circle with you all here today. It is definitely an honor. Alicia, you are just a light in this dark world sometimes, well, dark world often, and we need to shine our lights brighter so that we can all grow together. And I was in a panel last week where we talked about how what the biggest problems with our society today is how we've lost our connection with nature and with magic. And I just have been
Mhm.
thinking about that ever since of what the world could look like if we were connected to nature and the infinite possibilities and wonder of what could be. And that just it gives me such hope and excitement in a world that I wish, in a world that I want us to navigate to.
Mhm.
I started a small nonprofit last year in a community space in Elyria, Denver, which is one of the most polluted communities in the country. It's two
Mhm.
EPA super site funds. It touches the highway, the railroad tracks. It's an old smelter site. And just this community has seen decades and decades of environmental racism.
Mhm.
And so to be there, what we're trying to do, we're the Greenhouse Connection Center, and we use music, movement, and arts as a conduit for people to connect with themselves, with each other, and with nature, with a strong focus on environmental and social justice. So just trying to make some beautiful things in the world. And it's not always easy, as you know, in these journeys. And I think one of the things that why I really appreciate being here today and how it's been touched on earlier is sometimes this work can seem lonely. We seem to be stepping
Mhm.
outside of what the normal society tells us is successful and what is rewarded financially. The reason why I'm over here today is because I spent 8 years working in oil and gas.
Mhm.
And I regret it, and I'm sorry for the harms that I've been a part of. But I've also seen firsthand what it looks like in communities from indigenous lands to North Dakota to the poison sugar fields of Louisiana. And these communities all look the same. And unfortunately, people make a whole lot of money by exploiting other people. And I really wish we could move away from these things as a society because it's destroying our planet. So,
Um, there is a beauty, there's a gift in spending time in an arena that does not really feed your soul, that is speaking to you in a different way. You know, I know that when I have an argument with someone,
mhm.
I tend to talk to other people who think in the same light as that person I'm arguing with. I don't go to the people that think like I do because I'm not going to gain but so much knowledge in that, so much enlightenment in that. So I go to others that think differently than I do, that behave differently, that work through the world differently than I do, because it helps me have a better understanding and I feel a little bit more balanced in life. We might end up still on different ends of the spectrum as far as where we think we want to be and how we think the world should be. But it helps me personally to be more balanced and be more engaged. And it opens up that line of communication. You have an opportunity to listen, truly listen, and then share what's going on for you. And I feel like that's a part of what you do daily. And I know those 8 years of being in oil and gas, that gave you an opportunity to get that knowledge that most of us don't have. I can speak from my gut reaction. I can speak from my biases or my reality on who's making what kind of money, who's making what kind of damage to the world, how am I playing a part of it? But I'm limited on on my perspective if I have not stepped into that world. You've had an opportunity to truly step into it and experience it, and you can speak from that perspective. And we need that. And I know that you have taken all of that and you're fighting the good fight. You fight it daily. And you're right. A lot of us, we walk away and we feel like we're lonely. We feel isolated. And today's a prime example on how we are not. There are so many of us who are doing this work, and quite oftentimes it's in the silence, it's in the quiet. We're not on the bullhorn, we're not in front of the media, we're not getting the airplay and the publicity that others are getting, but we're doing the work that has to happen. And I know that to be true with you on so many levels, on so many levels. Um, so having partnered with you on this journey, I feel like Her Many Voices has really expanded, and we have gained a lot more knowledge in your presence.
I feel the same way about you, and it has just been so grateful. And one of the things that you have taught me is what it has meant for our society to take a plant away from people, a plant that
Mhm,
is used in prayer, for medicine, for food, for building, and then to
mhm.
then take it away and then oppress people when they use it. And
Yes.
just what our capitalistic, oppressive, colonial, patriarchal systems are incredibly failing of us. And like you said, it was my job to calculate profits in oil and gas. So I saw how much our company was making, the traders were making, the producers were making, the
Mhm,
railroads, the pipelines, the utility companies, the plastic makers, the chemical makers. It is obscene and it's disgusting. And what I have learned over this last few years is not only will the revolution not be televised, but
mhm,
it will also not be funded. And these systems are working as designed. And I know that you know that the struggle is real over here. And the things that are needed in this world that would take so little to go so far. And then what is financially rewarded that is so exploitive and causes so much harm, and just how off balance we've come. And again, I come back to, what if we were connected to nature, and what if we were connected to magic? Um, it
I'm glad you brought up magic. Yes. Yes.
Yes. And but in the physical world too, there's a lot of great things that we can be doing. I'm part of a group called Resilient Denver that pushes the city of Denver to be as progressive as possible in addressing the climate crisis. And we are a group of passionate residents who band together and volunteer. And we put so much pressure on the mayor and the city that they created a climate office, which brought a ballot initiative 2 years ago called 2A, which got passed by over 60% of Denver voters, which will now generate over $40 million a year dedicated to addressing the climate crisis, in which 50% of the funds needs to go back to Black, Brown, Indigenous, and most impacted communities.
Mm.
And that's my friend Theron threw that clause in there. And like, it's this kind of insight. Have we learned some lessons? Are there problems still? Does it still need to be continued to be watchdog? Absolutely,
Absolutely.
but it's a great place to start. And what gives me hope is that our group is even thinking bigger and bolder now. And right now we're in talks to try to go after a really large scale green equity bond initiative.
Mm.
Um, Over $800 million, maybe a billion, maybe even more, because the intersectionalities of these issues, we can't just come and clean up disproportionately impacted communities that have been marginalized for decades. clean them up in areas that are already being gentrified and push people out. We need to be able to have true affordable housing with it
Mhm.
that's built out of hemp, that's LEED certified, that there's this Venice project, it's beautiful, maybe includes a daycare facility in it, and gyms and community gardens and green roofs and acts food equity. Like, this is possible. The money is out there in the world. We just need to figure out ways to rebalance it. And as you've been talking with me, there are funding opportunities coming. It's how do we become a part of the game that we have not been a part of before?
Right.
Where, yes. I'll take a
Yeah.
pause. I get so
No,
excited.
no, your excitement is what fuels us, that's for sure. I look at, like, right now, I received word that the Biden administration released $1 billion to go into addressing the climate issues, right? So there are areas where we have access to funds. It's figuring out how do we gain that access and making sure that those funds actually go to the communities. They reach the communities that are truly in need and not the handful at the top of the food chain. And that's the key. And it always comes down to the BIPOC community, always, right? We're the most impacted with all of this, and usually are at the bottom of the rung as far as the resources are concerned to address it. And one of the reasons why Her Many Voices is looking to create the longhouse communities, the hemp longhouse communities, is to address these kind of things, to make sure that people have access to affordable housing, to make sure that we can grow our own foods, to make sure that we are not going to be fined. And some people have been carted off into jail because they grew vegetables in their front yard. And people who were houseless had access to food, and yet it was made illegal. All of these things need to change. So the community gatherings, the longhouse communities, the intentional communities, the agri-hoods, people are having this awakening to go back to that root of being with nature and with each other and supporting all. And I will say, as one mom to another, thank you for the work that you're doing, because I know that you are looking at your sons going, okay, this is not the world I want for them. This is the world I want for them.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the number one reason why I am here today, is because I am terrified for the future for my babies and for all the babies. And it is
Mhm.
absolutely a crime that the air that my kids breathe is different from the air that other people's kids breathe and has better quality. But you want to know what? Pollution doesn't care, and the cumulative effects are coming, and it's coming for all of us.
Mhm.
And we really, this is the time to change course again for the more beautiful world that we want to create, a world that's filled with restorative, transformational, and radical love, now more than ever.
Yes,
Um,
now is the time. We are
yes,
out of time. Now is the time.
now
This
is
moment, this moment is the time. Um, can we put up one more time? Thank you, Jean Sari. Congratulations to Many Voices. God bless you and protect you. Thank you very much. Sari, we so appreciate you. Yeah, thank you for that. And Paula, wow. Paula's an old dear friend of mine from, going back almost 30 years ago. Alicia, I'm delighted that you have found Tawani to help share how yoga can support the community. And I'm so inspired by all of you. Thank you very much, Paula. I appreciate the fact that you've jumped on here. Um, let's put up, do we have a link for you, Harmony?
right now we are rebuilding my website, and I have
Okay.
an Instagram also rebuilding as a one person shop. These things take a little bit of time, but also what I would love to put up is my phone number. I
Okay.
am old and old school and love to connect with people, and especially in the days of a pandemic, let's talk, let's
Mhm.
connect the best that we can in this world. And I know that I put that backstage, so if that's available to share, I would definitely love to put that out in the world for folks and say, give me a call anytime. Hash or climate, environmental things, making the world a more beautiful place is my passion. And I love to talk and would love to talk to you.
Okay. Let's see. I'm getting a note that Mikey can't put that up just yet. Oh, here it
There
comes.
it
All
is.
right, the Greenhouse Denver. Okay, Greenhouse Connection in Denver. And the number is 303 620 6021. You will get Harmony directly if you call this. This is not an answering service, right?
Yeah.
So reach out and like you said, it's time for us to connect directly with each other. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I look forward to having you back for Earth Day. And
Can't wait.
I know that physically, I believe we're going to be together on Earth Day as well.
Yes.
So, all right, have yourself a beautiful day, and I'll see you again soon.
Thank you. Have a beautiful day, everyone.
All right.